All set? Okay. Michael Ayoob, thanks a lot for being here and talking with us about your book. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem.
This is, first of all, let's talk about Pittsburgh. You're a Pittsburgher. You grew up in Brookline, went to school at Pitt, then went to Columbia for your Master in Fine Arts degree. But Pittsburgh is a big part of this book. Tell us about, well, I guess you write about things that you know, therefore that's why Pittsburgh is a part of the book, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think, it was important to me to set it here, but I also think that it's a pretty, I worry a little bit about how people may take the vision of Pittsburgh that's in the book.
How Pittsburghers might take it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do worry about that a little bit.
Well, you're not writing it as a public relations person for the Chamber of Commerce,
No, yeah, that's the thing. I'm not a booster.
Yeah.
I'm not waving black and gold pom-poms. It's a very, I think, honest depiction of the city.
What's the worst thing you say about the city in the book?
I don't know. It's up to, I guess, a reader to take from it. There's a character in the book who rips it pretty good.
Yeah.
But I think people would understand that's the character.
Yeah.
That's not the author.
It's interesting you should bring that up because I was just I've been reading a lot about one of my favorite authors, who and just as I say that, the name of Philip Roth. A lot of people complain, especially females, complain about Philip Roth and the way he treats females in his book and the way males are, just looking to get laid, kind of an attitude. And I say to myself when I hear that kind of criticism, I don't know that is really should be a criticism of Philip Roth as much as it is a criticism of the characters in the book, and that's the kind of character that Philip Roth writes about. So how do you feel about that?
Oh, I agree, and I think that's the other thing too that I think we forget is it's fiction.
Yeah,
it's made up.
Exactly.
It's not even memoir. It's not an op-ed piece.
Yeah.
It's still fiction. So even if you have a first-person narrator, I think people can sometimes forget that you're reading a lot of I, and my name's on the book, but that's still a character.
Yeah. Well, tell us, give us a thumbnail sketch of what the book is about. Take us real briefly through the storyline.
Okay. I guess what I would say is it's about this character named Dexter Bolchek, who, when he was in high school, was a phenom of a hockey goalie. He just sort of came out of nowhere. The book shows how he discovered he had this gift for stopping pucks, for seeing the puck better than anyone else. And he has this brief, brilliant hockey career that ends in complete disaster. And it ends with him being abducted and tortured brutally by fans of the game. And so we pick up with Dexter years after this. He's a very traumatized, depressed individual. And he runs into an alcoholic named Lou in the Strip District of Pittsburgh. And Lou ropes Dexter into searching for his lost love, who was Mercy Carnahan, a Hollywood starlet who's been missing for about 50 years. So our friend Dexter convinces himself to go look for Mercy, and the more he looks for her, the more trouble he ends up getting into.
Yeah. It sounds like a fascinating book, and I read most of it myself. And it brings to mind a lot of the pulp fiction that came out back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. I don't know if you've ever heard of a guy by the name of Jim Thompson, who wrote some pulp, back in those days.
Oh yeah.
But it brings to mind that kind of writing, but it's obviously it's done in the present day. There's a lot of modern technology, that you're using the computer to search for this young woman and so forth, who's not a young woman, I guess, much anymore. But did you consciously do that? Hark back to those, the pulp fiction stuff of the 40s and 50s.
Yeah, well, not when I wrote the first draft, and it's really funny that you mentioned Thompson, because I wrote the first draft, just kind of bashed my way through it, and one of my classmates at school said, "You've read Jim Thompson, haven't you? He's your favorite author, isn't he?" And I said, "No, tell me what to read." So she recommended that book, The Killer Inside Me. Mm-hmm. Which I guess is probably maybe his most famous book. Mm-hmm. I mean, they made a movie of it a couple times. There was one just came out a couple months ago. Mm-hmm. For any listeners out there, he also wrote The Getaway. Mm-hmm. They made the movie of that, and The Grifters.
Right.
But he has a lot of great books. There's one called Savage Night that everyone should read. It's an amazing book. But so that's the thing, is I just dove into Thompson after I got this recommendation and just read all the Thompson I could get my hands on. And when I eventually came back to revising this book, I had that in my mind.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
It's funny. I picked up on that, and I liked it a lot. I thought it really added to the texture of the book, and it wasn't just old time stuff. As I said, you bring it up into modern life and the modern tools that someone would use to find somebody. What about the dialogue? I hear a lot of writers say that it's really difficult to do dialogue so that it's genuine, so that it comes across as people actually talking. How about that?
It is, and I think too one of the that's difficult, and I think would maybe even be more difficult is to make it all not sound like the same person.
That's true.
You're the same person, and you really have to play act. I think a lot. You have to read it out loud to yourself. I mean, it's great if you can find someone else to help you read it as well, just to get different voices in your head. Just to get different inflections, how different people speak. It is very difficult.
Do you consciously do that in your regular life? Do you listen attentively to the way people talk and the words that they use and the phrasing and so forth?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. It helps taking the bus every day. That's a good way to and especially too, I think it's great this day and age of cell phones. You get to hear all kinds of conversations that you wouldn't have heard 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, some of us, I think, complain and roll our eyes about this day and age of, people having these conversations in public. I love it.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
We get to hear all kinds of dirty laundry and nastiness that we wouldn't have heard a couple years ago.
Sometimes it's frustrating, too. You only kept picking up one part of the conversation, or maybe only part of the conversation, and you have to get off the bus.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, definitely. And it's funny, too, because sometimes, one side of the conversation is all you need. It's kind of, it's kind of fun to imagine what the person on the other end saying.
Yeah.
But, we're in the case, it will happen sometimes, too, in the bus is, the other person gets off the bus before you. And I actually had an incident a week or so ago where the woman was so out of control that when she exited the bus, the rest of the bus started clapping.
Yeah.
So that's our society, today. Yeah.
What about the wise guy banter that you use in the book? Is this something that's part of your soul, or did you have to go to great lengths to create that?
I guess it's probably part of my soul. I mean, that's a nice thing is, with a book where you have the chance to go back and revise, you can get the wise guy banter just right. Whereas, as we all know in real life, it can be pretty awkward. Someone can put us down and we don't have the comeback right away.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So that's one nice thing about writing is, someone can put someone down and then you have time to come up with the perfect retort, I guess.
Now you're a nice guy. You've got good grades in school. You behaved yourself. You don't have an arrest record or anything like that. And there are some pretty dark corners in this book, wouldn't you say? And is there evil lurking in your soul that's aching to get out, and this is your outlet for it, or where do you get this the darkness that's in this book?
I would debate the whole first half of your question.
Would you? Yeah. Oh, that you're a nice guy. You
yeah, sure.
Oh, okay.
It's
Well,
just
go ahead and tell me. I always thought you.
I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm a better actor than I think I am, or something. But
well, tell us the deepest, darkest secrets that inform the action in this book.
Oh man. Well, let's put this. Well, I can say I've never done anything like what happens to our main character in the book.
No felonies?
No felonies.
In your background?
No. None that I've ever been, I guess, caught for. But no, I don't. I'm glad that I'm not in the world that our character Dexter is in.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare world.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that nothing like that. I would never do anything to anyone like that had been done to him. I think it's scary. It's horrific. And as far as your actual question though about like the dark corners of my soul, I mean it's there in the book.
Yeah.
I think it is accurate what you said about this being an outlet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's for the best though that it's confined to that object, that book, as opposed to me acting it out on other people.
We are told that people don't read fiction anymore. And that people don't read books anymore. We've got these, what do you call these things that, I forgot the name of it. You know, these
like
computer.
the Kindle,
Kindles, yeah.
ebooks
We've
and
got
all
these
that.
Kindles and you put the, download a book onto the Kindle here and you take that around. What about a guy who was in the first part of his, what we hope will be a successful career as an author, going into a marketing situation that everybody is saying is awful?
That's where I'm at home. Yeah, I mean, I do think about that a lot, and I do hear about it a lot. And, the whole publishing industry is, they're all flustered right now. It's mass panic. It's chaos.
Yeah.
And, I think it's just, those situations kind of make me laugh. I think it's out of my hands, really. I mean, that's the thing, is I can't control it. There's nothing I can do about it. I thought about this a lot. It's like, yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, one could easily say, yeah, fiction's irrelevant, literature's irrelevant. We're in this day and age of everything is sitting in front of a computer and doing everything on a computer. But, I've never really cared too much about being relevant. I've never cared too much about being, like, hip, cutting edge, whatever. I'm just going to do what I'm going to do, and that's writing fiction. And however people read it is cool. If people read it on a Kindle or an ebook or, on their computer screen or whatever, that's cool.
As long as they read it.
As long as they read it.
But I guess a lot of people are saying that people aren't reading as much as they used to. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but I keep hearing it.
That could be true. And again, I can't control that. I mean,
Yeah.
if we're like in this cultural seismic shift of people just not reading anymore, I can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
And it's not going to stop me from writing.
Yeah.
You know?
What about doing some cutting edge things? And I don't even know what cutting edge is anymore. I hear about novelists or creative writers getting into video games, creating games with the ideas that they have that might otherwise be in a book, such as the one that you wrote, things like that. Do you ever fantasize about dabbling in some of those things, or have you already done it?
I haven't done it, but I do fantasize about it. I think it would be really great. I'm definitely a novelist, a fiction writer, but I love video games too. I mean, I grew up on video games, and to have the chance to dabble in something like that would be great. I mean, the next thing I'm working on is about sort of the struggle for this town, and it
This
involves
town? Pittsburgh, you mean?
or not necessarily Pittsburgh, but a fictional town.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But it's similar, I guess. It's a burned out, not to say that Pittsburgh's burned out,
No.
but it's a struggling steel town on the banks of a river, and it's modeled on some of the like communities in the region, and the book is about sort of the battle for this town, where a character comes to the town with the intent of demolishing it, and there's a character who decides that she's going to try to save it, and throughout the book, certain sections of the town are destroyed spectacularly.
Oh, really?
Either by accident
Is
or
this
on
science
purpose.
fiction?
No, it's not quite science fiction. It's going to be like a revenge thriller horror
Yeah.
mutation.
Yeah.
And a video game or something like that would be awesome, like a World of Warcraft kind of
Yeah.
thing with,
Yeah.
get your character to do this, and meanwhile the computer's doing this, and, I'd love to do something like that, but I have, unfortunately, no technical know-how on designing a video game. So,
I could learn that in a couple of hours, probably.
well, there's CMU down the street.
That's right. You're a graduate of CMU.
Yeah,
But it was, literature, right?
It was in literature. so yeah, I was just silly enough to go to CMU for fiction.
Well, how does Pittsburgh inform or affect the way that you write, or does it at all? I mean, does it make you might have written the same book had you been from Des Moines or Chicago or St. Louis, or am I wrong? I don't know.
I think definitely location influences what people write or how they write.